Happy Thursday to you. Unplanned live stream. I had to do my go to my daughter's fifth grade orchestra concert for the season. That was cool. It took me back to when I was in fifth grade, though. When I was in band and orchestra, I was actually in choir, though. We had a little band function, but I didn't really take playing any instrument seriously, but it was fun. I did it fourth and fifth grade. We did America Sings. Like, yeah, America Sings. That was fun. But it's just, being a parent, I feel like it's very nostalgic. It just takes you back to those times when you were a kid and you just see all your kid doing like all the things you did when you were a kid. And it's cool. Being a parent is actually pretty cool. They drive you crazy, but it's actually really cool. What's up, Kyle? I see you. So, just catching up on my news today, and I tell you, the world is just ever so crazy. And I was catching, now, mind you, I am very selective about what I cover on this channel. Sometimes I just don't want to be on the bandwagon of what everybody's talking about. A lot of the stuff that, I see is just nonsense, right? I don't want to waste time on it. But I'm looking at this quote super mayor. Some people call her the city girl mayor, Tiffany Henyard. And I haven't really said too much about Tiffany Henyard. She's just really just not really been a priority for me in a broader scheme of what is happening in America. But I had a chance to kind of dive into this Tiffany Henyard chick a little bit and kind of see what all these other YouTubers have been seeing because obviously they've been covering her a lot. And, I've seen her talk a couple of times, and, you know, I don't want to judge a person by, the character that they are, right? The way that she communicates, because that could be very regional, right? And people voted for her, obviously, no matter how she came off, right? She was a person that obviously resonated to those people to elect her mayor of Dalton. And then somewhere between somewhere, she also got elected supervisor of Thornton Township, which was a much higher pay for her. Thank you, Kyle. So here we are. She got elected in what, a couple of years ago. So she's 2 years ago, maybe. And this woman has had a lot of beef, a lot of issues with the board of trustees. They're not very happy about how things maybe financially are managed. They were asking for more transparency. And as opposed to Tiffany Henyard, giving them that transparency, she decided that she was going to troll these people. And in some instances, she was firing people, laying people off because who did not agree with her way of doing things. She used that strong black woman leader type card on folks to shame them into complying with, some of the way that she chose to do business. And from what I understood, stand, she actually demonized those people in various degrees, very authoritarian like. Um, she was not renewing licenses for business owners. I think she was somebody said she was locking out the residents from the city hall. This woman really wasn't. I'm sorry, I was screaming at my daughter's concert, so my throat hurts now. But this woman didn't really seem like she was in it for the people. But then when you talk to her, she's doing all the things that people would expect, for more of a community group to do, really, in collaboration with the city. But she's doing turkey this and giving out this, giving out that, kind of buying the maybe loyalty or allegiance of the people. I don't know. But then you got this other cat here what is it? Napoleon Harris. Hang on, let's go back.
State Senator and Township Democratic Party committeeman Napoleon Harris called the caucus and installed himself at the top of the ticket, winning with a simple and loud voice vote.
So many people may argue that this guy is a better option than Tiffany Henyard. And my whole thing is, if the people overall in Dalton and in Thornton County, did not support Tiffany Henyard, and this is just how I'm looking outside looking in, then why didn't they do a primary and just have the people vote Tiffany Henyard out? Why did they have to basically go this backdoor caucus route to get this Napoleon Harris guy, in the position that Tiffany Henyard is in right now? And don't get me wrong, I don't think this woman is a saint. She's a victim of herself and her own ego and whoever empowered her. But at the same time, how they kind of hijacked this position from her, it was kind of sneak shift looking, right? And I'm looking at all these people from this Democratic caucus. They're in this room as he's voting, roll calling, right? But then the people that support Tiffany Henyard were restricted from coming into the building. And it's cold as hell. It's colder than a snow monkey's balls in the Midwest. Like, I'm in Michigan, they're in Illinois. It's cold as hell in the Midwest right now. Hell, winter has come, all right? But I can't imagine that this guy is going to be any better than Tiffany Henyard based off of the methods that they've used. Because, I mean, I'm not sure if the people are going to have the opportunity to go to the ballot. But from what I'm understanding, this particular method sort of takes the ballot out of the equation. And I guess I got to understand how these rare caucuses work, where you can kind of backdoor somebody into, a nomination while inadvertently shutting out anybody else who may wanted to challenge that particular position. So, like, to me, even though they were trying to target Tiffany Henyard, I mean, what about somebody else in Thornton County that wanted to possibly be the supervisor as opposed to this Napoleon guy? And I mean, I'm not trying to be funny. This is a Democratic caucus that I'm seeing here. They got the place packed. It's not a huge place, right? And I'm pretty sure between Dalton and Thornton County, they got way more people that showed up for this thing. So it definitely comes off as a hijacking. A lot of times you reap what you sow. Tiffany Henyard is obviously playing the victim card right now because she's being embarrassed. I mean, she's looking crazy. She went into this meeting and they made it seem like she was crashing out. But then when you kind of listen to what she was saying the next day, right, she was actually nominating herself in that thing. They were roll calling, basically calling names, ignoring her, right? Because she just walked in and she was basically like, this is not right. We're supposed to have a primary. You're taking the power away from the people. That is her argument, right? You backdoored the whole process to get me out, which probably should happen. Tiffany Henyard, you shouldn't be a mayor anymore. You should do something else. But it still doesn't, make this guy look any good. So, Tiffany Henyard, you're getting what you deserve, I guess. But, you got a lot of people scheming on your ass to get you gone. You hurt a lot of people. And, you think about firing people because they don't agree with you, right? That hurts people, right? That hurts people. I mean, a lot of times when you're in these city jobs, it's hard to find employment real fast, right? Because the public service jobs, I mean, hopefully you can go to some other department, but if you got your nemesis as a mayor, she's going to blackball you the whole way through. So, Tiffany Henyard, she's definitely getting what she deserves. She's being investigated by the FBI. Hey, this is the thing is with these black politicians, right? Some of us think that we can get in these positions and operate like the non-black politicians operate. And some of us can get away with it. Um, but if we're playing ball with the right people. But I mean, some people, especially at these city, local levels, you know, you're not going to get away with it because you're too closer to the power of the people. And it seemed like even the people of Dalton and Thornton County can stand her ass. And just looking at some of those little video clips of her just, you know, I think just not holding enough grace for the offices that she occupies. She wasn't very graceful. And, you know, I hate to say that, right? Because there are graceful types of black women. But I think people like Tiffany Henyard, they kind of play into the stereotype about black women. And so, whoever felt to empower that woman, right? you know, she was kind of feeding into a stereotype, I think. I'm not sure. But all of this press that she's getting is definitely placating into her turning out to be the stereotype of black women. And what a shame. What a shame. We need more Condoleezza Rices. Graceful black women who don't have to do all that to be heard and to be powerful. I like Condoleezza Rice. She can dance circles around people. And I'm not saying Condoleezza Rice is perfect. You may not agree with what she supported. I'm just talking raw person and character, not politics. I have to be kind of specific with that because some people they just conflate everything and it's sickening, right? But you got to be specific with some of these slower folks. But, anyways, moving on, I was catching this podcast, um, Urban Politicians TV. Shout out to him. I like his stuff. I'm subscribed. Let me subscribe to all because he's been dropping some good stuff lately. All right, so I'm subscribed to all. Urban Politicians TV. And he said TDE Punch calls out Andrew Schultz for I guess he threatens to SA Kendrick Lamar. And I've spoken about Andrew Schultz. I think I did a video about Andrew Schultz about a month ago because he was fixing his lips to talk about black women. And I think I blamed black culture then for letting, some of these non-black people just have so much space to commentate about us because then they go wild and they get ignorant and they get too comfortable, right? So I do feel like Andrew Schultz is a culture vulture who has gotten so comfortable talking about black people because obviously he have little people like Charlemagne to kind of co-sign, oh, he's not racist, he's not this. But a lot of these people are inner bigots, and I've said it before. And they try to make themselves seem like they're your friends and that, because they're your friends, they will never ever insult you. But, underneath it all, the real conscious black folks, we understand which type of them folks not to trust. And it's usually the ones who are saying things to demean our women or emasculate our men. So here, Andrew Schultz is running his mouth off about black people again. Now, if we were to talk about his people like that, we'd be losing all kinds of livelihoods if we were just to go in on his people, right? But he has a green light. This is his supremacy, right? And they're like, oh, he's a comic, blah, blah, blah. He's not a fucking comic. That is not comedy. It's not comedy. I don't know what the fuck you people think is comedy these days, but you need to go back and listen to Carlin, Pryor, Murphy, those are comics. Some of these little pieces of shit, they just have a green light to be racist in the name of comedy. That's how they get paid, and this is how they psychologically manipulate people. But here, Andrew Schultz is talking about Kendrick Lamar. Now, recently, Kendrick, I guess, dropped a line in his new album, and he mentioned Andrew Schultz. And he basically requested the same thing that I said about it. Like, we are letting these people like Andrew Schultz too comfortable in the culture. They're denigrating the culture because they got money to do it. Some of their people, and they feel like they can just say any old thing about black people, unchecked. And one of the things that Andrew Schultz is saying, and I want to put some context to this, is he's talking about buck breaking Kendrick Lamar. Okay, I want to be very, very specific when we're putting what Andrew Schultz is saying about Kendrick Lamar in context. Andrew Schultz is not saying that if it was me and Kendrick 101, I would beat his ass fist to fist, right? He's not saying that, right? He's not saying, if we were wrestling, blah, blah, blah. No, he's not saying that, right? And really, the point he's trying to make is I'm so much bigger than Kendrick that I can beat his ass, right? If Kendrick didn't have all his West Side, West Coast goons and all these other dudes, if it was just me and Kendrick, right, I would basically be able to subdue Kendrick Lamar, right? Nothing wrong with him feeling that way, right? But he automatically goes to the most vile type of way that a man could subdue another man, right? And it takes you back to slavery, right? A lot of those white slave owners, they were afraid of those Africans. They were afraid of those Africans because of their stature, because of their build. And a lot of times, to put fear in the men, they had to buck break them, meaning they had to sexually assault these black African slaves coming over here, emasculate them. And that is a trend that continues in America on so many different levels. Absolutely Diddy. Some people say no Diddy, yes Diddy, right? Buck breaking is a practice to weaken people that you think is more powerful than you, right? So here Andrew Schultz is talking about buck breaking Kendrick Lamar. And let's talk about full context here. And if you're an Andrew Schultz fan, you can get off my block with all your feelings and all that stuff, because I really don't care.
Because he specifically, I think, was reacting to, in that Gigs podcast, which I think they're reacting to, I said something. I asked them if they dated black women. They were like, "Oh, we date all women," or whatever. Yeah. And I was like, "Yeah, okay." And then I go, "Kendrick fans, get them."
Yeah.
Yep. And that's all it took.
Crazy.
He did. But I need Kendrick. I need you to do it, Kendrick.
You want to squabble up with Kenny?
No. I mean, here's the thing. This is the thing that is kind of funny about it. Is like, first of all, Kendrick's people and the gang affiliate, everybody, his security, they will kill me. They will destroy me. They'll find me in the street. They'll cut me up. They'll shoot me. They'll do whatever. I'm not a tough guy. Y'all do. But just Kendrick, I would make love to him. There's nothing he can do about it. Just Kendrick Lamar, I would make love to him, and the only thing that he could do is decide if it's consensual or not.
Okay, so as opposed to saying I make love to him, I'll beat his ass, but and follow up with I beat his ass, little midget dude, go off into some other masculine shit. He goes into this buck breaking shit about how he would buck break Kendrick Lamar if he had him one-on-one.
That's the only thing he could do. If it's me and Kendrick, this is about physics. It's about physics. I don't even know if I'll get hard. But if we're in a cell, there's a chance that
And then you got this old Donkey Kong need growth sitting up here trying to co-sign it because he just trying to get his tokens, right? I gotta laugh at Andrew Schultz. I gotta crack up at this whack ass shit that he's saying about this brother.
In the cell and we're bored and we done tattooing each other, whatever you do in the cell, and we ran out of board games and we did all the other things and we cleaned everything, and I'm like, man, I might as well. There's nothing he could physically do to stop
So
that.
basically, he's even going into, if I were bored in prison, right? Like if we were cellmates, right? Now he's even talking about graping. I have to say graping because YouTube, I guess you can't say normal words in this sensitive freaking society anymore. This man, right? What other man like that's not comedy. That is not comedy. What I don't know a lot of just I don't know men that joke like this unless they're just down low weirdos, right? Totally immature men, not secure in their masculinity at all. So it's just, it's interesting, with these people, they fix their lips to say, you know what I mean? And the lack of education that they really have, right? Like to me, I think the last thing that a non-black man, especially, a white looking man, should be on the microphone talking about is buck breaking black men. Like it's sick on so many different levels. Like there are so many different jokes, but you're gonna start talking about buck breaking dudes, and then you even gonna talk about if y'all were in jail, you would like who the talk like this? Like for real. Oh yeah, Ronald, you so right. You so right. We know them folks. We know them folks. We know them folks, right? We know them folks. I know exactly what you're talking about, right? I mean, the obsession with gay sex, with some of these cultures of people in America is just weird as hell. And then they try to slick talk they shit on other people through the guise of comedy, right? Like, why are all these people, some of these producers, obsessed with putting men in dresses, right? That is a form of buck breaking. It's like a subtle buck breaking. How much do you want this role? How much do you want this money? Let me see you, you're going to have to let me buck break you. That's what Diddy was doing to some of them artists. He was buck breaking them, right? They were buck breaking them. Somebody, that you perceive to want to have control over. So that's how you're going to have control over them. It's so demonic. I agree with you, Alinda. It's very, very demonic. But you guys look up the history of what they were doing to those African men during slavery, right? And then you look at what they're doing to these young men, just even in modern times in this sick Hollywood and music elite industry. These people are sick. So the fact that this man is sitting up here on his podcast, just letting this shit roll off his tongue like he just saying something, and the only people laughing about him, you got the beta Indian guy dude there, right? Just rolling, right? You got the paid black dude that's just sitting up there like, I'm just trying to get these coins, and all these folks need a black person just hanging around for extra little credibility, it seems. So this need growth is just sitting up there cracking up instead of just saying, oh, yo, dude, chill out, right? Chill out, right? Nobody can tell Andrew Schultz to chill out on this podcast, right? Because he is the star, right? Diva talking about buck breaking Kendrick Lamar. Sick. These people are effing sick. Wait, you say way too crazy. Did you went to Diddy's freak off? Did your mama go to Diddy's freak off? Dumbass. Y'all just dumb. Y'all just jump into the chat just saying shit. And we just gonna say shit back to you. So we will definitely get with you. Right? But this is crazy to me. You know what I mean? Andrew show, and it just is, it's an indication of like when the liberals be talking about hidden bigotries, silent bigotries, all these other little bigotries. This what the fuck that it really looks like in real time. Y'all just gonna try to guise it as comedy, right? Like what was they saying in 2020 with all that DEI and all that race white fragility training, inner bigotries, or what was it called? Unconscious bias. Yes. Unconscious bias. That is what the fuck unconscious bias looks like in real time. Your beloved Andrew Schultz. Able to guise his bigotry with comedy. Ain't that a damn shame? The devil is a liar, you guys. The devil is a liar. And he's also a double talking demon. But, anyways, who has heard of the UnitedHealth CEO getting, it appears to be assassinated? Anybody know anything about this guy? It seems as though somebody might have been pissed that somebody that they loved passed on because they had a denied insurance claim, and they were so, whoever maybe passed on because of that, they were just so discombobulated that they were like, I want that mother dead or something. Now, I heard a news report that his wife said that he had been receiving death threats, which, I would think an insurance provider CEO, that's something that would be kind of commonplace, right? Right? Zero tolerance. I don't know. I think it was, I don't know if it was personal or subjective, right? Because personal could mean that either somebody knew him, because somebody said something, there was something said in the news report that was kind of weird to me. They said that they were going back to, ask questions about, to somebody who he was sharing the hotel with. And I'm thinking to myself, let me go to the news report. Why would he be sharing a hotel with anybody and he's a CEO? Why didn't they just say that it was his wife? Like, that was kind of a weird wordplay that he was headed back to the hotel, the person that he was sharing the room with. I'm like, wait, he was sharing a room with somebody in the hotel? Let me see. Let's see. Okay. Where's the latest on this? Let's look at it from News Nation. Let's see. Oh, they don't want a commercial on me. Hang on. All right.
At the U.S. Marshal Service, listening into what Laura said, in terms of the developments, what stands out to you here, day 2 of this investigation?
Well, day 2, they've got a ton of information on this individual already, and I'm kind of surprised he hasn't been picked up yet. The video of him at Starbucks and stuff are pretty clear photographs. And between that and some of the other things electronically that can be done, I think this guy's time being free is very limited at this point. They should be able to pick up not only electronic surveillance, but also with the video and him.
One thing I noticed, he had a silencer on that gun when I looked at the video surveillance. He had a silencer on the gun, but it was interesting. The cab driver said that he could hear the gunshot. So even with a silencer on a gun, is that just like a quick muffle? I've never shot a gun with a silencer, and I've shot several different types of guns, but I've never shot one with a silencer on, so I wouldn't know what they really sound like. And I've never looked up any video. I've never thought to buy a gun with a silencer. You know what I mean? Like, why would I need a silencer unless I'm planning on killing somebody in an organized hit, right? It wasn't random because he had a gun with a silencer on it. Like, so he did not want to be caught. He was just trying to get in, get out of there, right? He had a bike right? So he had the whole thing. He was alone. Like he didn't have no homie waiting for him, like 5 blocks down, where he could kind of run inconspicuously, whatever. You know what I mean? He had a bike. He went off into the park, right? This dude was pretty organized in what he wanted to do. So I'm wondering, was this his own personal vendetta? Did United Health deny a claim for insurance to, somebody who meant a lot to him? Maybe his mother. I would think of somebody, if this was personal and not in terms of removed from the family, right? I can imagine that maybe this guy has been taken care of by his mother forever. She was denied an insurance claim that, maybe would have been life-saving for her. She passes on, and he blames the insurance agency for this. And so he just decides that he's going to get his revenge by killing the CEO, who probably had nothing to do with the underwriting at all. So that's one scenario. The other scenario is that, somebody close to him wanted to take him out the game, but wasn't he being investigated? Wasn't he being investigated for like insider trading or something like that? I think that he was let me go back here. But I thought he was being investigated. The DOJ was investigating this guy for some insider information, but that still doesn't scream hit job on somebody. So let's see. Let me go here.
Basically not having any covers on his face at all, and them tracking him through the various video cameras is going to be key to grabbing this. But I think the background on this is going to be the issue, is what is the motive? Was he paid? Are there other people involved? Was he surveilling this individual? So there's a ton of questions out there that aren't going to be answered until he's in custody. But I think that's going to be probably very short.
What do you think of the shell casings that there was words, deny, defend, depose? If we have this book cover, I want to put it up, about the healthcare industry that a lot of people have been talking about. We reached out to the author. The author did not comment, but if you look at the book, it says delay,
Yeah, that was
deny,
another thing that they
defend.
said. They said that specifically the bullets had like sort of wordplay off of this book, delay, deny, define, and this is I guess exposing the insurance company. And apparently some of the bullet shell casings had some type of writing on that line, so that's why it led me to believe that this is somebody whose loved one might have had, been associated with this insurance company. They denied a claim that could have possibly maybe said, some people when they're grieving, they're dealing with somebody who means a lot to them, and they're trying to have that savior's complex where they're going to do everything they can to save the person, but then they realize that they can't control the outcome of the underwriting process. They can't, what I mean? They don't have that control, and that person dies, they need somebody to blame, right? And sometimes if people don't know how to, sort of channel their anger, their frustration, their disappointment, their grief, right? They start looking for people to blame as root causes for that grief, maybe. And I'm thinking maybe this guy, could be somebody who, lost somebody dearly to them, because he's walking around with a silencer on the gun, meaning that he intended to kill this man any place. He just wanted to be able to kill him somewhere where he could get the shots out that he needed and be able to flee without a whole lot of interruption or disruption in the general area. So what do you guys think? Facial recognition technology, they said that they're using that. Like this guy was saying that he's surprised that he hasn't been caught already. And then they're saying that this is freaking out the people in the healthcare industry now. Let me see.
Here's how auto mechanics.
Oh my God. So YouTube is ad central now. And I don't want to pay for them because They're constantly suppressing my content, so I can't pay for
Bomb
anything that
threat was
suppresses
called
me.
in at Brian Thompson's home in Minnesota hours after he was shot to death.
Wait, what?
Also investigating, get this, a bomb threat was called in at Brian Thompson's home in Minnesota hours after he was shot to death. In the wake of Thompson's murder, anger, threats, and vitriol are being directed at healthcare insurance companies all over, putting CEOs and executives of those companies on high alert. Joining us now is News Nation's senior national correspondent, Brian Enton. And Brian, you spoke to the CEO, the former CEO of Aetna. He knew Brian Thompson. Curious what his reaction was to this assassination.
Yeah, Elizabeth, I've been talking to healthcare executives all day who say threats are not uncommon at
That's what
all,
I
and that the
thought.
climate has been heated with members and insurance companies for decades. I did just speak with the former CEO of
I
Aetna
figured
Insurance,
that.
David McNichols, who knew Brian Thompson. Take a listen. You were the CEO of Aetna. How common are threats to, high-level execs at these health insurance companies?
I would say they're ubiquitous. And so going back 20, 25 years when I was at UnitedHealth, which is when I met Brian 20 years ago, even then we were dealing with threats all the time. And a number of senior executives, and I could give you names, they actually had security that traveled with them. And often they would not travel in public transportation, but use private transportation just for security reasons. And so those kinds of threats coming to senior
figured
leaders in the health plan organizations, that's been going on for a very long time.
Are you surprised Brian didn't have security?
I am. Now, Brian headed one of the largest
You
unit
said
of UnitedHealth
if it was
Group.
a hit,
I'm
it's
certain that
usually
Andrew
the
Whitty, who
spouse.
is the
I never
CEO
rule.
of UnitedHealth Group,
I
and
never
whom-
rule out the spouse. But you want to be respectful too, right? You want to be respectful, but obviously there's a reason why even law enforcement typically questions the spouse to see how the marriage was going, if there was anything like infidelity or something. One thing about it is this, like, this guy is telling us that, I figured it, but he pretty much confirmed it for me right away, that these type of death threats are not really heard of in these particular spaces at all. And I, as a wife, if I hated my husband, I would absolutely know that. Just me, just saying. If my husband was a CEO and I hated him and I wanted him gone, and he was a CEO of an industry where the CEOs are absolutely hated and get death threats all the time, I'm just saying it'd be an easy coordination with little question because it's not uncommon. But not saying his wife did it. Like, let the woman grieve. We don't know what happened. But they do look at the spouses, sometimes for a reason, right? Brian Thomas was in the middle of several big lawsuits. Wasn't he also being investigated? Wasn't there some insider trading stuff going on that, he was being probed into, with United Health or something like that, or some monopoly thing maybe? So they had a lot going on at United Health. And I gotta believe if, they're getting probed, somebody pissed somebody off. And, could have been a takedown game. Some of these folks, you never know who knows what. No Diddy, right? But some of these people get caught in a jam, right? They start threatening and bribing other people, right? It's like, oh, hell no. Hold up. What you just say? If I don't do what you're going to do what? Okay. Take his ass out with a silencer while he's walking back to a hotel. This is what these people out here in these streets doing. So look what happens to Boeing's whistleblower. Remind me about what happened to the Boeing whistleblower. Did they kill them? Let me go look and see what happened to it's too many whistleblowers. I can't keep up. I know that was like a big story, but did they kill him? Like, do I really have to do this research? Can somebody just say, okay, no, they didn't kill him. Okay. Right. But yeah, I mean, these people aren't playing. When you're talking, you said up to $13 billion worth of trading. Yeah. $13 billion? With a B and not an M? Wow, these people, yeah. Yeah. Right. When big money is involved, you know, people's lives don't really mean too much to some of these demonic people, right? That's why I don't align with nobody. I don't like to be aligned with anybody or anything. I got respects for the people and the things that I respect for, but you just can't be too close to anything these days because these folks are crazy. These people are crazy. You screw up the wrong person or the wrong information, they're gonna be 86 in your ass real quick. And shoot, silencers, you know, liquid cocaine setups. People try to play God. People want to be God so bad. And it just tells you that the Satan's rebellion is deeply rooted in the hearts of people on this earth today. And that's why, we read that broad and spacious is the road to destruction. And many people have found its path because these people are not godly people. They have a form of godly devotion, but they prove false to its power. And from these people turn away, like 2 Timothy 3:1-5 tells us to do. This is what we're dealing with in the last days. Mankind is not going to get any better. They're going to get worse. And their capabilities to 86 each other and take each other out in little creative ways, it's only going to get worse. So, we pray for these folks. We do pray for these folks. We do pray for these folks. We pray for this man's wife. If she wasn't the one to set him up to get sniped like that on the block, just walking from wherever he was walking from, just got taken out and just on the streets. Like, that was a shameful thing. They said that there's about 20,000 cameras, 20,000 cameras in New York, and they're all laced with facial recognition. The shooter wasn't going nowhere fast. He's probably already, they probably got all his biometrics and everything. They just trying to find his ass at this point. But if it was a hit job, he might be out of there already. This dude came to the hit with a silencer. So he knew what he was doing. He was causing minimum attention. Right? He just in and out. In and out. That was a hit, no doubt about it. Oh, for sure. That dude specifically walked on that particular sidewalk to take that man out with his gun that had the silencer on it. And it's so crazy too. That this dude is paid to do that. That this dude is paid to do that because several of the pictures that they show of this guy from, I guess, the Airbnb and the Starbucks surveillance camera, this dude looked like a normal, regular guy, smiling at the people. Like, he didn't look stressed out. He didn't look bothered at all. He looked like he was about to catch a motherfucker that maybe offended him and take him out the game. And that's what it looked like happened to old boy from UnitedHealth. How did he know what time he was coming? The bro was probably stalking dude. He had an Airbnb. He probably knew bro's schedule. He knew he was probably out there for that meeting. Wasn't he out there for some kind of investors meeting? Right? So he probably knew that they were out there, that he was going to be out there, right? And he probably invested in United Healthcare just so he could probably, if it was a shareholders meeting maybe, he probably invested in the company just so he can get his ass on there and have an excuse. There's all kind of ways people kind of freaked away, but he was stalking dude for show. Like, it wasn't a matter of how he knew. It was a matter of he was stalking him, and he found a great opportunity to just do what he did. Examination of self-isolation, you speak as though you're involved. I'm speaking as though I'm speculating about what might have happened. And if you kind of think like these, don't act like your mama didn't watch the ID channel. Mine did. Like, I mean, I looked at all the murder mystery shows and all these folks. It's like, shoot, Yes, you can speculate the hell out of a lot of stuff. All you got to do is just look at the reoccurring patterns of shit. But anyways, you don't think the wife you don't think the wife may have been involved? It depends. That's what I was saying. Law enforcement, I feel like by default they look at the spouse. Did you guys have a happy marriage? You look at the crime shows, they always ask the spouses the same thing, and were you having problems, right? They said dude was going back, he was sharing a hotel with somebody. Like, I didn't think CEOs needed to share rooms. Who was he sharing a hotel with? You know what I mean? So it's just all these little things. Like, I mean, it could be the wife if he was on some slimy stuff and she just couldn't take it no more. Like, you done cheated on me for the last fucking time. I am not even going to split assets with you. I am just going to get my United Health insurance payout via a death benefit. I'm just, hopefully that's not the case. We hope that she was not on that, right? We pray, we pray, we pray. But, honestly, this does sound like maybe somebody who might have been disgruntled. This seems like somebody who might have lost a loved one, possibly, right? And they wanted, they couldn't take it anymore. Like, this probably was a way for them to resolve that. They might even find this person somewhere dead, right? Because they've done what they felt like would give them peace or give whoever they love penance, right? People go crazy all the time. You said the wife was separated and they were getting a divorce. Oatmeal, that's some tea, oatmeal. I mean, I'm pretty sure a lot of stuff is going to come out, but it's just like, you got to follow the money, right? Because hitmen don't hit for free, right? And typically you're talking about a high profile guy like that. You really are dealing with a professional shooter. You're not dealing with a hitter from the streets. So follow the money, I guess. Follow the money, follow the money. Maybe someone wanted to be the CEO and he was the holdup. You think you think he was cock blocking somebody's career path and they needed to just take him out the game? That's possible too. Some people can't take competition. They don't want to compete against somebody that they know are going to keep beating them. So sometimes, in their brain, the best way to do it, because they're wicked, is to just end their life. So that's possible too. The hitman looked like an amateur though. I don't know. He looked young, but I don't know if he looked like an amateur, because I know one thing is, I've heard that when you are using guns with silencers, they tend to jam. Can somebody else co-sign that statement? But I did hear that when you put silencers on guns, that they can jam. So I think that he dealt with the jam pretty quickly and then got the job done, and he was out of there. And he was on the bike, right? He wasn't, I mean, the only thing that I would say is amateur about it. No, it wasn't amateur, because you don't want to, like, if you're doing something like that, and I'm not acting like I am, in the know about things like this. Like I said, I look at a lot of movie and crime shows, but the way that he did it was actually pretty professional. That was a professional hit. And I'll tell you why. Like, this guy was not a gangbanger, right? Gangbangers pull up to people's houses, they shoot them up, and they take the risk of getting caught or chased by cops, right? When somebody is on a bike in a big city, they're able to go through crevices and corners and really just disappear, right? Into a big ass park, even like Central Park, where there's probably other bike riders who are dressed exactly like him, right? It makes it really harder for them to really just be chased or identified or pointed out, because he'll look like anybody else. You know what I mean? So I definitely think he was a professional. He might have looked young, but I don't think that he was an amateur. He looked around 21 or so. He looked like a hitter. He looked like somebody trained him to hit, to take shots like that, you know. So he did not look like an amateur. He did not at all. And you know, here's the thing. I knew he wasn't he did not seem like an amateur, because even if and this is why it seems like it more likely it was a hit now that I'm kind of playing it back in my head. He didn't give dude any time to turn around or even acknowledge that he was about to die. He just got the job done. If this were somebody who was harboring something, you know, and they were amateur, there would have been dialogue. There would have been an acknowledgement. There would have been a, hey, you motherfucker, turn around, or something like that. And he would have turned around and saw maybe this guy ending his life. It seemed like that was a straight back shot. Dude got shot in the back. He got run up, done up, and dude was out of there on his little bike. The guy made sure he did the job, and that is how it looked to me, I'm guessing. It really did. Like, dude was in and out. He didn't want to have no dialogue. He didn't want to be acknowledged. He didn't want to say, hey, you piece of shit, turn around and see your death. No, it wasn't even like that. It was like, get in and get out. And that's exactly what the fuck he did. So that was definitely a hit job. That was definitely a hit job. Somebody paid that dude to get in and out. And when you're trying to get in and out, you don't really have time to say shit to nobody. It's just out of there. And that's exactly what happened. So that guy was a professional. He might have looked young, but he was a young hitter. He was definitely a young hitter for sure. You said maybe the wife wanted to take over the company. Who knows? I mean, you know, this is that femme fatale period in America where they're trying to prop women over men and empower women to go to war with men. Who knows? Right? But, you know, I can imagine this is probably business dealings related. You know, I can imagine it's probably business dealings related. But let me know what you guys think about this. What's going on, TFFS? I see you. But this is crazy. And I mean, and it was in broad, like, I mean, whoever planned on killing dude wanted it to be in the public. They wanted it to be a public execution that was caught on camera. Right? Because the dude who took him out could have easily followed him to the hotel room if he had access to the hotel room, right? And took him out in the hallway of the hotel with the silencer and still maybe was able to get out a back door, maybe. Who knows? Maybe that wouldn't be, that was too secluded. He needs to be out in the open. Yeah, I get it. You got to be on a bike. Yeah, that CEO could have exposed a company worth 500 billion. Man, somebody mentioned $13 billion. I mean, I think if this was up to $13 billion worth of trading, right? So, I mean, I can think about 13 billion reasons why, you know, somebody could or could not be pissed with this person. Who knows what's going to happen? We'll see what happens with UnitedHealth in lieu of this. It was probably a message to the other higher ups. Like in insurance companies, like other higher ups in insurance companies. I mean, I think that a lot of people have long felt like they've been screwed by insurance companies. I think that insurance companies, their mottos, they're the least with integrity in sometimes many instances, many people have felt. And so I think that some people have lost their lives not, you know, being able to be approved by this or that. And, you know, for insurance companies, everybody's just a claim. They're not really looking at everybody as somebody's mother. So everybody is somebody's father. Everybody is somebody's sister, brother, child. They don't give about that. They care about money. They care about retaining money. They don't want to pay out money, if they don't necessarily have to. And even when they get you to want to jump up into some of these policies, right? They real strict on paying you out, even though they sold you with this idea of something that they pay out. So a lot of people don't have a lot of faith in these insurance companies. And I think that a lot of people have felt like they have lost loved ones because of some of these insurance companies. And so when this guy says that death threats to insurance company CEOs isn't uncommon, right? I believe him.
Brian reported he has security with him 24 hours a day. I'm a little surprised that Brian didn't, but you're in Midtown Manhattan. You're at a very high class hotel. You're not going to run into random violence. And so he likely thought it was unnecessary.
And McNichols told me that Brian Johnson was well liked by employees, known to be the kind of CEO that anyone could go up and talk to regardless of what level they are in the company. But again, he said it's clear the climate is known right now that these threats exist and that most of these CEOs do have security. Elizabeth?
Yeah, lots of disgruntled customers. We've been seeing a lot of people venting in the wake of this murder about their own insurance companies and their own cases where they've been denied coverage. Lots of fury online. Brian Enton, thanks so much. Joining us
go ahead.
now is retired Lieutenant Commander for the NYPD, Joe Cardinale, and former FBI Assistant Director Chris Swecker. Chris led the high-profile manhunt of the Olympic Park bomber Eric Rudolph. So two great people to have on this. Joe, I want to start with you. This photo might not be clear enough to use facial recognition, but if anybody knows this man, they will recognize him.
Oh, they'll recognize him, but that photo that you're showing right now, that's a better photo. And they'll combine the two. They'll do partial facial recognition. They'll do whatever they can to zero in on the traits of his face. And they'll send it out there, and they'll just keep combing the area for any other surveillance photos that they can combine with this. Hopefully they'll get a hit on any prints, and hopefully they'll get some DNA on this. But the way this investigation is going, they're starting to compile a lot of good information, all right? And I think you just have to let the detectives, greatest detectives in the world, continue to do their work, and we will have a successful outcome with this.
Chris, this man could be anywhere in the country by now. We are now 36 hours after the event. He could have easily hopped on a plane at any of the 3 airports nearby and be anywhere. That's why it's important nationwide. We have a national audience here that everybody look at this, because he could be from your hometown.
Yeah, I mean, he has no reason to stay in the city. And, I take him as a person.
I mean, he came there to do a job. He was there on business. He took care of business, and I'm pretty sure he's out of there. On to the next job.
Who probably drove
or got
out of there
in New York
via subway and had a car parked somewhere. I don't see him as someone who flew into New York and found his way over to the hotel. So, I said earlier, and I've said it several times now, that the video would solve this crime. And I stand by that. It's a lot like the Boston bomber. That is exactly how they solved that case. Because it isn't just, a lot of these criminals in New York.
The one thing that does kind of make him amateur is, I don't know. Yeah. No. Look back, no, he's not amateur. He's not amateur. He's not an amateur.
They'll put on a mask when they commit the crime, but the video is everywhere all the time.
Right.
It's dense in that area, and they'll capture them before they put the mask on and after they put the mask on, and it is, to me, it is a video solution to this. As soon as that picture went out, I believe that person's already been identified. I think the only issue now is, where is he?
Right. Thanks so much for watching. Go to join.
Where is he? He's on his next hit. He is on his next hit, right? If they let another 3 days, I would say if 2 more days go by and they haven't caught him, he's on his next hit. He done probably killed like 12 people since they talking about where is he. like for sure. The gun, and he did it in public. Well, I think the public thing was probably something that was in his contract. Like, I want it done on the streets, kill him dead like a dog in the streets. I can imagine, whoever hired him had specific instructions because, otherwise he would have did it somewhere more secluded. You know, he was obviously not in his hotel room, and he was acting alone. He was acting alone. It doesn't seem like he had a lot of coordination, you know, you know, in that little hit, you know what I mean? He was riding his bike. Nobody to come, like, who knows? Maybe there was somebody to come and scoop him up. He is probably back at the CIA. You think it was a fad that took him out the game? You think they Epsteined him? But to put yourself out there to possibly get caught, that was personal. It, who knows? I mean, if it was personal, who would it be? I mean, who has he pissed off enough to just want to take him out the game? Yeah, he was a decent looking dude. You know who's also pretty handsome? You see the kid growing up. I thought he was going to be weird, but pretty good looking kid is Barron Trump. Barron Trump is a good looking kid. I can't wait to see him find his little Melania, because little mama's boys, they always tend to find women that remind them of their mothers. And if Barron is really close to his mama, he probably gonna have a really pretty Melania in the making. But yeah, like little Barron, he's just so adorable. I think they're gonna try to make Barron into, like, as they were making a big deal because Barron said words on camera, and they was making it seem like the boy was autistic. I'm like, I don't think Barron is autistic. I'm pretty sure Barron is trying to be as normal of a normal person as possible. He's lived in the limelight his entire life, you know? So I'm pretty sure the kid is just like, man, I ain't got to say shit to you people. Here, look at my handsome face. Barron Trump, bitches. I don't even have to say shit. And I got people, yep. Adorable kid. Good job, Donald Trump and Melania. We already knew Donald wasn't going to have no ugly ass kids, right? He was just like, all my baby mamas going to be bad bitches, right? Donald Trump was like Hugh Hefner. He was like, you're an A, you're a B, you're a C. All the C's can go in the garbage and the A's and B's can stay. I was looking at this documentary of the Playboy Mansion. Very interesting documentary, right? Very, very interesting documentary. One thing I really liked about Hugh Hefner, because I was very curious about how all those women, and they would invite all these men too, and how those women were protected. And a lot of those women were talking about how protected they were at the Playboy Mansion, and how Hugh Hefner has a do not, like, you're like a ban list, I guess, at the Playboy Mansion, and a lot of high profile men are on that list because they disrespected the women, and that was something that he didn't tolerate. Like, I mean, interesting documentary. What man wouldn't want to be Hugh Hefner, though? I mean, I'm just sitting up there like all you did was make money off of bitches. Like, you were the ultimate hustler, the ultimate pimp. Like, he is really king pimping. Like, nobody has ever pimped like Hugh Hefner. Like, for real, though. For real. So, random shout out to Hugh Hefner, man. For real. Did he die? I always kill people before. I don't really follow him. I just saw this documentary. I don't know how old it was, but hopefully you're still alive and doing well. But anyways, you guys have a wonderful, wonderful day. We gonna pray for this United Healthcare CEO, his family, right? I think it's tragic. Hopefully he was not set up by somebody close to him, but he was definitely set up. He definitely pissed off the wrong people, and they got him out of there in front of everybody, in front of all those street cameras on New York. And even the truck driver, he had video of this guy. He said he happened to see him pulling the gun out, and the first thing he decided to do was start recording. People are weird. I guess it's like, would I really want the recording? I ain't testifying to shit. Like, so I don't need this recording in my phone. But it's just interesting how people will go to filming something before they go to maybe calling 911. I mean, imagine if that guy who had his phone out filming this guy getting shot, what if he would have called 911 and it was just those little seconds of him calling a unit being just happens to be by. He saw the guy go off on a bike, right? So, just a few seconds the guy could have possibly been caught if this, guy that's kind of standing by isn't, who's not in this truck. The guy that's in the truck, he had his camera out filming the thing instead of calling 911. That is just the weirdest shit to me. Sometimes when I see these videos online and they'll show people, being helplessly attacked or something, and the people around, as opposed to helping them, they have their camera phones out. It's insane to me. It is insane to me. So I pray for everybody. I pray for everybody. But you guys have a wonderful, wonderful day, and I will catch you on the next one. Bye.